Good evening, welcome back. It's Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. Got a lot to cover and a short time to get there. Coming at you a little late today. Stayed over today at work, so got a little bit behind here. So we're going to start off with a few events. There's only a total of 8 Cup races that were held on this date, and we're going to cover a couple of those here in a minute. But 1992 on this date, Todd Bodine won the first ever Busch Series race at Michigan. Of course, that was a pretty tragic weekend with the passing of Clifford Allison in the first practice session for the Busch Series that weekend. 2011, so we're going to really jump far here. Marcus Ambrose wins his first Cup Series race in a crazy race at Watkins Glen that would see a crazy crash on the last lap with David Rudiman tumbling through the S's, as well as Boris Said and Greg Biffle having some sort of confrontation in the garage that famously had Boris Said saying, if somebody texts me his number, I'll go to his house and do whatever it was he said, give him a fat lip or whatever. He said he needed a whooping. That's what he said. But, so it was a pretty crazy race that day. 10 years later, a race that my wife and I were at, A.J. Allmendinger won his second Career Cup race, first for Kaulig at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. So anyway, let's jump into the birthdays really quick. I'm going to start in 1952. I've got a couple cards of this guy, but only had one readily available. Born on this date, like we said, 1952, former NASCAR official Mr. Buster Auton. So, nice card there. Let's go with 1958 here, born on this date. Former Cup Series Championship crew chief, former NASCAR car owner, and has made a handful of starts in the Xfinity, then Busch Series, and of course the Truck Series. Mr. Andy Petree. Of course, he was there for 4 in a row with Harry Gant. He was there for the 93 and 94 titles for Dale as crew chief. Then he went back to the 33 team with Robert Presley driving and would eventually get ownership of that car. Of course, Ken Schrader would drive the car, and then Joe Nemechek when they lost Skull sponsorship. Oakwood Homes would become the sponsor, and then eventually the team had to dissolve due to financial issues. Of course, that was the team that Kenny Wallace and Bobby Hamilton would eventually drive the 55 Square D car. So he did have a couple wins with Hamilton and Nemechek. Born on this day in 1956. Longtime crew chief, but eventually went to work for NASCAR. Mr. Robin Pemberton. So, much like our next birthday boy, this man is a chameleon because he was constantly changing teams, it seemed like. Got a good interview on the Scene Vault podcast where he talks about being with each of these organizations. So you see he's with Roush, he's with Sabco, went back to Roush. I don't even remember this, him being with the 16 car. Went to Penske for a minute, was there as Rusty's crew chief. Can't remember where he went after that, but I think he may have went to another team. But like I said, he went to work for NASCAR and has found his footing there. And our final birthday, born on this day in 1979. I think eventually he'll get in the Hall of Fame because he is an Xfinity Series champion. Has quite a few wins in the Cup Series. Mr. Carl Edwards. And he's got some wins in the trucks as well. So, again, I just tried to pick some uniforms here that highlighted his career, and they're in no particular order. He kind of perfected and that's when he was in the trucks. This one's Xfinity, or Nationwide, or whatever they was calling it at the time. But it seemed like Carl had several sponsorships all the time, and that would help the team maintain funding. It'd be good. You could, if it was a regional promotion or whatever, and the Roush seemed to really, really do good with picking up rotating primary sponsors. They seemed to be one of the first teams that really started doing that and creating that. And then, of course, when he was with Gibbs, it was the Eris. And then we got a few of the car cards here. So there's that one of the Xfinity cars, the Charter Communications. We got the Fastenal. Got a Subway. Aflac, the Aflac Duck. There is Scott's Turf Builder. Who else do we have? Office Depot. And I believe we do have an Eris card. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this, just because I knew we had a lot of ground to cover, and we had to make it happen, and make it happen pretty quickly. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Make sure you come back tomorrow. Try to have something to rip for you, and of course, fast packs at noon tomorrow. So thanks again for watching, and we will see you then.